What is happening, everybody? You guys know me, obviously, SAJ. I'm not going to be the spunky, happy, sarcastic, energetic, normal SAJ that you guys normally get. And I kind of sorry, not sorry. Don't mean to be a jerk about it, don't mean to be glib about it, but obviously, there's not much to be super happy and celebratory about with the way things have gone down in the last 5 days or so. As you see, my homage to all of the sports franchises that have started out here and have failed. I've got my San Antonio Talons jersey on from the AF1. Uh, I was even thinking about busting out my old gunslinger shirt that I have. Um, yeah, there's not a whole bunch that is kind of worth celebrating right now. But um, don't let me be the rain on the parade. Obviously, have our special guest here, XFL Mike G of Alternative Football Network. You guys know him. We talk about him all the time. He's been a great friend of the show and a great support. Uh, BD's on vacation. He was going to pop in. Um, what's up, Jackie? Right. Love you, sis. Uh, my Panther pride. What's going on, fellas? Keep the faith. Keep strong, boys. We're gonna need guys like you to help carry some of us through on some of this stuff. Anyways, XFL Mike G is here, and I have to tell you, Mike. I know we were talking about it back in the green room, and I didn't really even watch any football. Not that I mean the Packers had the bye this week, but I like to try and keep updated with what's going on. I think I watched part of the game that was on last night, but I didn't watch any other game. No college football, no NFL, no anything. Um, so I know you stay on top of stuff like that. Uh, what's up, fellas? And yes, Landon, I kind of feel we do deserve a little bit better, but we're going to get into that later on in the show. I don't want to jump onto that just yet. Mike, for a couple of minutes, let's talk about NFL. I know you watched the Cowboys. How did the Cowboys look? How'd they do? How did that game turn out? And you, as a Cowboys fan, how do you feel about how the team is doing right now?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on again. Yeah, this was a weird week. Knowing that I was going to be on, I was fully prepared to take some notes on some games, and I did that for Thursday. But once Friday hit, Saturday and Sunday were kind of a blur. I did watch the Cowboys, and I think they did what they had to do. There's no surprise there. It was nice for them to do what they were supposed to do as far as moving the ball, stopping the opposing team. They did what they had to do, and it was good to see them get on track again. But there wasn't too many takeaways for me for that, just because. And I think a lot of people in this area and a lot of people watching right now, whether they're Brahmas fans, Roughneck fans, or Panthers fans, we're all just kind of numb right now. So I mean, we can talk about the game, but I think we all really want to go into what's going on with the UFL because this is kind of a momentous moment for us.
And we definitely can. Definitely want to say, congrats. Obviously, my Panther pride with everything that's happened to them, knowing that their team was kind of on the chopping block, they at least can still celebrate. Detroit being number one in the power rankings, and you kind of had to expect that. Detroit, I mean, they started out kind of a rough start, but you can't really count Detroit down. They're too dang good of a team. And I know Green Bay and pretty much the rest of the league is going to have their hands full trying to deal with them, even with all the things that happened as far as injuries and setbacks and things like that. So, my Panther pride guys, congrats, good luck. You're going to need it. I don't know that necessarily we're going to be the powerhouse you got to worry about, but I think there's going to be some teams in the NFL you're going to have to worry about. This is a good question to kind of get things started. Obviously, we know San Antonio has been disbanded. What would you like SA rebranded to? Now, I have to ask a clarification question. Do you mean like which team did I want San Antonio to become in the restructuring, or if San Antonio gets a team back, what would we like it to be? If you can clarify that for us, right? We better answer that question.
I think he's referring to what the remnants of this team, whether it's the players or the staff, go to Columbus or geez, I can't even not get used to them. Columbus, Louisville, or what's the third one out?
Orlando?
Orlando. Yeah. After looking at them all day, I put my um, had to give myself a little bit of a break, so now I got to come back to it. But of those three teams, which would you like to see the remnants of the Brahmas go to? From what I'm understanding, it's going to be Orlando, but that's not 100% confirmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that San Antonio has already lost. Well, I mean, obviously they lost everybody, but the members of the team that were still on the roster, our guy, Jordan Williams was picked up with Birmingham. So he's over there. Corbin got another opportunity in the NFL, so he got signed to a practice squad, which is good, right? That's what we wanted to kind of see happen as guys move forward. The rest of the team, I've not heard of necessarily any signings happening from the free agency. I know that there are guys that are going to be picked up. I just don't know who, and I just don't necessarily know where. I know we have problems with our offensive line, and we struggled with quarterbacks, so those probably aren't necessarily going to happen. Running backs have all been kind of sent up to the NFL for the most part. Um, Wing, uh, Wing and Destroying are probably still around. Don't know what's going to happen with them. Somebody's bound to pick up Wing, right? And I don't even know if he's going to come back now. His heart may not be in it because there was something uh, special that he found here that brought him here to San Antonio. Um, Obviously, our long snapper Sunahara, he's in the NFL, so you don't have to worry about him. Defense, Jay Will signed. I'm sure there's going to be a couple other guys that are going to sign. The rest of them, I have no idea what's going to happen, especially with this new class of kids that are going to be coming in from the combine and the new talent that's going to be peppered throughout the league. Your guess is as good as mine. I hope the guys land somewhere well where they can use their talents and show what they've got. I hope if Phillips comes back, he gets a coaching spot with a team that is best suited for his coaching style. And I hope Party lands somewhere and gets an opportunity to kind of move up, you know? Uh and yes, just exactly what I was saying, right? Uh So hopefully they get opportunities because we had a really great coaching staff, even if we didn't necessarily have the recipe together to be an effective team. We had some really great coaches and stuff. Um, and Michael Lathrop here is saying, the whole team is kind of built on heartbreak and uncertainty. Uh, and he's right, pretty much fans everywhere. And it's not just see, and here's the problem, right? With the people supporting it. Mike, thank you for sharing that. Um, Here's the problem. It hasn't just been like this year. It's been every single year. Okay. Um, when we had XFL 2023, right? San Antonio got a team. We found out about that team in 22 and went absolutely crazy. Started having our own parties, started doing all these different things that it realistically didn't even make sense. Some of the stuff that we were doing to try and drum up attention and draw support for the team because we were just fans. We didn't even know what the team name was. And we were already throwing parties and getting people connected and helping sell tickets before we even had a front office, you know? So we were all about supporting this team. And then we got Heinz Ward as the coach, and it was like, oh my God, even better, right? Things are going to be awesome. And then we had that 3-7 season, right? And we almost snuck in. We almost got into the playoffs. Um, but alas, that didn't work out. Um, we didn't have the greatest of experiences with that first year, but we had hope, right? We knew we were coming back. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, to reiterate your point and what Michael Lathrop was saying, is there is no consistent off season where something hasn't gone on. Not just here, but everywhere. Look at Houston. We're the Roughnecks, we're the Gamblers, we're the Roughnecks, we're the Gamblers. We're the Roughnecks with the USFL players, you know. Now they're the Gamblers again with a totally different color scheme. There needs to be time for things to grow. It's not just sticking your stake in the ground and it's going to support it. No, you've got to you've got to branch out and grow roots. What the UFL is kind of missing is that a lot of these fans right now aren't your casual everyday fans. They are diehard fans and they're fans of other leagues, so they know what's going on. And you take that for granted by uprooting their teams and just throwing in another city saying, here, love this team just because it's a football team. There should be at least a year leeway up into moving these teams to build that base, to build that excitement, like what you were talking about. It can't just be like, oh, in 6 months we start playing, so get excited. You know, I feel like the UFL missed an opportunity to engage not just the fans of San Antonio, but the fans of Houston, the fans of Columbus, fans of Louisville, and the fans of Orlando in terms of color scheme, names, anything. Even if you didn't plan on using those suggestions, just engage them, build your base that way, show that you're actually paying attention. Because if I felt like if they were paying attention, the Panthers wouldn't be moving to Columbus, because you're asking a fan base to suddenly start following their hated rival. It's like if half of Michigan hit the portal and transferred to Ohio State. You know, um, one suggestion could be to kind of move things around because these teams aren't permanently in their cities yet. Is maybe take the Brahmas, what's left over of them, and include Coach Wade and Coach Pardee, have them coach the new Houston Gamblers to kind of build some cachet and to kind of build some momentum there, and then put some new staff out into some of these other teams.
I don't disagree with you. And that probably would be a great way to kind of establish for the Houston fans. I know there's going to be a lot of bitterness with the change from the Houston Roughnecks to the Houston Roughnecks, but they're really the Gamblers, and the Roughnecks are in San Antonio because that's how some of their feeling was. And then now the Roughnecks are coming back, and oh no, you're getting the Gamblers now. And maybe they're still stuck with Coach CJ, maybe not. We've got somebody in the back room. I'm going to have him jump in real quick because I'm very interested to hear this gentleman's thoughts. He is somebody that's known in the spring football world and definitely has some strong opinions. So I want to have him jump in and see what his take is on everything that's going on. So everybody, please welcome Jared to the show.
Hey
And
guys.
Jared, it's a pleasure to actually talk to you. I know we've interacted on Facebook. We may have even
Yeah.
seen each other at the game. Um, but I just don't remember if we actually got a chance to sit down and talk real football like this. So,
No, yeah.
Jared,
So
talk to
hopefully,
us.
yeah. So I'm not really a podcaster or anything, so excuse me. But so my backstory is
Neither are
pretty
we.
quick.
So,
Yeah, I'm a Renegades fan, so I should preface this by saying, from like a objective, subjective point of view, like I don't hate a particular team. I'm sorry that anybody's lost their teams, but the long story short of it is that San Antonio, I'm a data guy. So when we look at the data all the way back to the mid 1990s of spring and alternative football, what you see is that San Antonio had a market that was worthy of a spring football team. AAF and Charlie Ebersol, a lot of their attendance numbers are sketchy at best. We know that from a lot of the lawsuits that are going on. But from the eyeball test, we can look at what happened with the San Antonio Commanders, and we can look at those crowds, whether it was actually the 30,000 that they reported in week. I can't remember what it was, game 5 or 6 of it was, but it was clearly 20,000 plus in San Antonio for those games. That tells us that with Charlie Ebersol, who did a really good job of marketing, that it turned out well there. Week 1 of the XFL 2023, 24,000 fans in attendance for San Antonio's first game against St. Louis. Great game, as we all remember. 2023 XFL Championship neutral site game, 22,000 plus fans for that championship game in San Antonio. In comparison, since 2023, the best crowd for a Houston game was 13,000 and change, which was heavily impacted by, us Arlington Renegades fan attending those games. But the big thing for me is that the best number that the Birmingham Stallions, since their return in 2022, has been is 17,500 fans, which was game 1 of the 2022 season. Now, Stallions fans will quickly turn around and say, "Oh, but they never released the actual data." Well, they released the actual data for that one game, which was game 1, and they stopped releasing it afterwards. The reason for that was because the attendance number was disappointing at that time based on a comparison to what the AAF was in 2019 and what the XFL was in 2020. Understandable, these things change pretty quickly, right? But if you take that, if you look at the eyeball test, if you look at that crowd and you compare it to every single crowd the Stallions have had at Protective Stadium since then, they've never touched that. And so I'm lost from a standpoint because we really lost a good market in San Antonio. And like what they did today is exciting in a lot of ways. I really do believe Orlando is a decent market. But in a comparison of San Antonio versus Houston and versus Birmingham, we look at Birmingham and Memphis dating back to 1995 when the CFL tried there. And the data tells us in Birmingham and Memphis is time and time again, it doesn't matter the amount of marketing, is that the crowds do not show up. And so when you look at the simple data, and if people want to turn around and say marketing, well, no spring football team is going to market now as much as Vince McMahon did in 2001 for the XFL 1.0. And the Birmingham team was second to last in attendance that day, that season. So from a data standpoint, time and time again, we see that Birmingham is not the right market for a spring football team. And the marketing thing is a cope because marketing only works if people are receptive to the idea. I can market a poop popsicle all over the place, but it's not going to sell no matter how much I market because people have to be receptive to it. And the bottom line is when you look at the Birmingham Stallions, since 2022, the most marketed team in all of spring football has been the Birmingham Stallions. And yet, when they hosted the division championship game this season, as a 3-peat champion going for the 4-peat, they had 65 more fans than the San Antonio Brahmas did as a 1-8 team going into week 10 of the final week of the season. If that's not telling, I don't know what is. And I get that the new ownership wants to go to smaller venues, right? That makes sense. I liked it. I'm a long proponent, advocate of smaller venues. 12,000 fans looks a lot better in a 17,000 seat venue than in a 60,000 seat venue. The problem is that Protective Stadium in Birmingham is a 47,000 seat venue. So it still does not add up with their game plan moving forward. And what's going to happen is very clear in my mind as somebody who's broken down the data going back to the mid-90s. At the beginning of the season, the Birmingham Stallions will have an increase in attendance. And by the end of the season, it will have dwindled. And if that team is bad, like we're talking 3-6 going into the final weeks of the season, that team will have an attendance that rivals what we saw in Houston and Memphis this year. At that point, they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and say, this isn't working out. And at that point, you've burned down the bridge with what was probably one of the top 4 markets in this league, which was San Antonio. And like I said, I am saying this objectively. I am a Renegades fan from a let's go, who's going to win. I'm Renegades first and everybody's second, third, and last. But from somebody that wants to see spring football succeed, we lost probably in my mind the second best market in the entire league. And that tells me that the new ownership might not have a grasp on things the way they think they do. And I know I'm running on here, but I want to finish saying one last thing is that, as I said, I'm an advocate of small venues because it looks better on television. But attendance alone is not going to make a bad product good. How many people were in attendance in the XFL 1.0 and what happened? The football was bad and people did not show up. And so him thinking that smaller venues are going to lead to that, it's not based in reality. And so I hope he doesn't think that because the crowds look fuller, that all of a sudden people are going to start, jumping on the bandwagon here. It's just not going to happen. And I know that might sound contradictory to what I'm saying in general, but what really is going to happen is you need passion in the fans and you need development from the football standpoint. And so, anyway, I appreciate letting me sound off. I feel really terrible for San Antonio. Like today's a good day of somewhat optimism from a spring football standpoint, but we really lost a good market in San Antonio, and you guys never had the chance. If you had the chance to sound off, if the fans had the chance to sound off like Birmingham, as I just pointed out in the attendance numbers, you guys would have been heard louder and clearer than Birmingham's fans, but you never had that opportunity, and that makes it all the more worse. And so, like, I feel terrible for you guys, and you guys have a great market, and I wish it wasn't the way it is.
Yeah, and first of all, let me thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I know a lot of, the San Antonio faithful, the diehards, uh, appreciate that because obviously this is a tough time. Uh, Mike G and I, in fact, you know, if it wasn't for spring football here in San Antonio, I can guarantee you that I wouldn't know three-quarters of the people that I interact with on an almost daily basis now. Mike G being one of them. All of my podcast hosts on the Horns Forward podcast. Um, all that stuff. And in fact, Jackie, who is my sister, uh, it we were the only fan base that traveled and did the things that we did. We showed more support for this league with the eight of us, maybe a few more on the Texas games, anyways. Um, we showed more fire and commitment to this league than pretty much every other fan base. Uh, Not, bashing Arlington or anything like that, but the eight of us went everywhere. Okay. We did everything. I dragged my kids to first of all, hi hun, love you. And Brahma babe, thank you. Um, I dragged my kids to St. Louis for the championship game that we were in. Got them addicted to the game. Now, granted, obviously, uh, we just uh, you know, obviously laid down in that game, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. Real quick, shout out to Clayton. He's actually watching us over on Instagram, and for whatever reason, those comments don't feed over. So I didn't forget about you. Okay, but I'm coming for you, baby. I'm coming for you. Okay. That shows you the level of commitment. I'm wearing my San Antonio Talents jersey. If anybody knows anything about, the history of San Antonio, we have been just screwed over by almost every single professional sports organization that has come through the doors here, except for the San Antonio Spurs. And they've somehow been able to mafia style force us into just about anything that they want, right? Because that's all we've got. That's all we have here. We've had hockey teams that have come and gone, football teams, baseball teams. Literally, the only thing that has stayed besides the San Antonio Spurs is the San Antonio Missions. And we've gone from triple A to double A down to single A. Now, I think we worked our way back up to double A again. But that's all we got here. There's nothing else. We got, I'm sorry, we've got SAFC, San Antonio Football Club, which is not kind of minor is not really. It's just a smaller professional organization. But we were supposed to have MLS here, and Austin screwed us out of that too. Um, so we're constantly getting crapped on. But I still was dedicated, and these guys were dedicated. Brahma Babe and Brahma Bro traveled everywhere. Jorge last year traveled everywhere with this team. I missed one game because I couldn't figure out travel arrangements to or I'm sorry, uh yeah, one game. It was the conference championship in St. Louis. I couldn't make that game, but it made the playoffs. This year, I have 50-yard line seats, right? Everybody knows that. I'm the guy who's on the visitor side talking trash to the visiting team, getting them all riled up. I've had so many bad things said to me. And then after the game, we shake hands and everything's cool, right? I actually doubled down this year and bought more seats over in section 118, which was Jackie and Renee's section, and got my four girls,
108.
two of mine, and then two of my girlfriends, my stepkids. I got them involved and created the Brahma Queens. So they had their own thing to celebrate with and connect with the fan base with, and have something to dive into to make the games even more enjoyable for them. And they were absolutely loving it. And now that's been taken away from them. So, and I'm sorry, getting a little bit, emotional about it because it meant that much to me. And so you're right.
No, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm not incapable too, because as a Renegades fan, I'll call out my own fan base and all that, that our fan base didn't show up the way they should have. And we have some passionate guys with Banditos and those guys, and we
Mhm.
do have the passion there. But you guys had a passionate fan base. Everything you just said is 100% accurate. And I do believe that had the league marketed that the way they should have in your market, that it would have paid dividends. And I do not believe that it what would have been the case in Memphis and Birmingham. And I have a reason to say that, as I said, because the data backs that up. With the fans did not show up in Birmingham in these previous leagues when they marketed the hell out of it. But when Charlie Ebersol marketed the hell out of that in that market, they showed up. In week one, when they threw the promos out for the opening week of the XFL, they showed up. When they marketed the XFL championship in 2023 for a neutral site game, they showed up. The data was there to know that San Antonio was a market that should keep their team. And I'm one of the moderators at the UFL 2.0 Facebook page, and it's funny that I barely heard a peep out of Houston fans when they're trying to keep their team. And it's just if San Antonio's fans would have known that they would have been on the chopping block, I feel today that things would have been differently, because I know you guys would have had a louder voice than any of those other teams that were on the chopping block, including Birmingham for that matter.
Mhm.
And it's just like I said, that's the biggest gut punch to me, as not even as an objective person, as just somebody who wants spring football to succeed. That I know that you guys had one of the top three markets in this league, and that was taken away from you. But if you had a voice, the way Birmingham had a voice, and the way that Houston had a voice, but did not use that voice, that you guys would have been able to keep your team. And so it's a gut punch as somebody that just wants spring football to succeed, because I feel that, like I said, I feel like we had a market for all the reasons you just said, and how much you guys put into it, that now that's lost. And I don't know if it's something that can come back from. I hope that they'll think about it once they start to hear some of the outcry, and they'll think about it, and the team will come back in a year. I mean, that's anyone's guess, but it's just the whole venue thing. You got to think of San Antonio. That's a great market. What about Seattle? I mean, you look at the data of Seattle in 2020 and 2023. That's a great market. And if they're not going to allow teams to play because they have big venues, well, saying the Sea Dragons aren't coming back, that's a hit to spring football, because that's a market that would show up for football games similar to San Antonio.
Mhm.
And the fact that you guys were putting in an attendance as a 1-8 team, that's right there with what Birmingham was doing as a three-peat champion in the divisional championship game, going for the four-peat. I mean, that's all you need to know. I mean, that's the data. That's the cold, hard facts. That's indisputable.
Yep. And just like Jackie said here, going back to, making noise, right? 8 of us against 6,000 at one of the Arlington games in Choctaw. I'm not going to say our nickname for Choctaw. I leave that for BD, but um, he I'm sorry, you guys could hear us. The first game we played there, you could hear us on the national broadcast louder than the Arlington fans. And we only got worse every time we went there, right? From our little band of 8 that wound up getting to about 50 or 60, thanks to Jackie and her planning and her tireless work to do road trips and everything like that. We went there and made it feel like a home game for us, right? Now, again, I'm not trying to throw all of your fans under the bus. The Banditos, great. There are brothers from another mother. Love those guys. Rig over in Houston, all those guys over there, absolutely love you guys. But let's be honest. If we're looking at the raw data, like you're saying, Jared, the numbers don't make sense. We could have found another venue had we been brought in and asked to help out. We could have put pressure. And here's something that I was going to try and get to eventually. Here's something I think we need to talk about, because I think everybody is mad at Rapoli and Russ Brandon and the XF or the UFL staff about this whole thing falling apart, right? what we're failing to remember here is that there's usually two parties involved in a business transaction, right? There's going to be the buyer and the seller. The seller in this case would be the city of San Antonio and the Alamo Dome staff, basically the director of operations and scheduling and that kind of stuff, whatever. I think it's important to know that we had a commitment from the previous city government in San Antonio before we went into the end of the 25 season, going into the planning for the 26 season. We have a different mayor, different people, different everything. The new mayor that we have has already been on film saying that she does not care about the connection that the city has to the San Antonio Brahmas because it doesn't bring in enough revenue for what she's looking to do. And I get that. It's a business decision. Okay. I think here's what happened. I think when the UFL went to San Antonio to start talking about the upcoming contract and the game schedules and things like that, uh, San Antonio gave them an offer and said, "Here's what we have for you." And it was not an acceptable offer, just like it was kind of a crap offer last year, where we only got the 4 home games, and they were not like 2 of them were Friday night games, which made it absolutely impossible to get people to the game. And that's something that has to be taken into account also, right? Um, but I think San Antonio offered another deal like that. Maybe they offered 5 home games, but they weren't going to be a good schedule, and we had to compete with Fiesta, and we had to probably compete with Disney on Ice or whatever. And like, I don't think it's the NCAA championship, but I think there's like some kind of women's collegiate something or another that we're going to have to deal with here in San Antonio, and it was a lot, right? And I think Brandon and Rapoli tried to flex a little bit and basically kind of got laughed at. So that forced them to have to contact other venues. I know for a fact other venues were contacted. And I can't necessarily say what venues were contacted, who was talked to, anything like that. Um, because it doesn't really matter at this point. But I do know that it's essentially the same thing. We're not really going to work with you, right? You guys are small potatoes. It is what it is. And that being the case, the powers that be at the UFL decided this isn't worth it, right? At that point, I really think if they would have gotten us involved and allowed us to be their voices in the community, we could have put pressure on our city council. We could have put pressure on our mayor and other venues and things like that. There's been a lot of people talking about like using what is it? Alamo Mike, help me out here. Alamo Stadium, which is a huge venue for high school football, right? And we actually had an episode on Horns Forward podcast talking to Evan Ashton, who's the director of operations, or who was the director of operations for the San Antonio Brahmas. You can go look up that podcast on the Horns Forward podcast. We're still sticking around, at least for right now, to get that information up. Mike, go.
Yeah, I retweeted and reposted that particular episode about Evan explaining to us about high school facilities and things of that nature because people still continue to have questions. It went from about 94 views to about 160 views in the last 2 days. So this information is out there, and like what Jared was talking about, there's information, there's data for us to look at. Again, Rapoli, if he had engaged us in any way, shape, or form in San Antonio, I would have been one of the first people on there because I went out of my way for the Save the Stallions to do the Roughnecks petitions the last couple of years and the last couple of times during the merger. If they don't like the aesthetics of the way that the broadcast looks, fix your camera angles. The one good thing about the original USFL 2.0 before they merged is they were very good at doing their sideline interviews where you could look up and see a crowd. Whereas opposed, if you're looking across the field to the visitor section, you're just going to see a bunch of empty seats. So it's about the presentation more so than anything to me. Mr. Rapoli, if he had attended one of these games in the Alamo Dome, he would have been blown away, and that's 100%. Jared, I don't know if you ever came to the Alamo Dome and experienced any of the games there, but it's an incredible environment. 15,000 people made it sound like 65,000 people.
Oh
The
yeah,
coaching staff will tell you that. The players will tell you that. And the fact that we didn't get an opportunity to, you know what? I would have taken four more bad. I would have taken the same exact schedule we had last year, as bad as it was, for an opportunity to save the Brahmas. Let us know, because we're on the ground, and I think Rapoli misses that opportunity to engage with fans who are already there, as opposed to making decisions from an office or from this couch and having the Scots going, you know what? Let's take away the Roughnecks name and give them the Gamblers. Let's take San Antonio. I don't know anything about San Antonio. It just looks bad on TV. You know,
yeah,
had he
absolutely.
engaged with us, I think it would have been a different outcome for a
Well,
couple of different.
not just that, but with the data telling us what it does in San Antonio being a strong market. Well, how about thinking outside of the box? Okay, we're small potatoes compared to Disney on Ice or Monster Jam or any of that. How about thinking outside of the box and maybe trying what the XFL 2023 did and throwing a couple games on weeknights, not Friday night necessarily, but we know that XFL 2023 did like a Thursday night game, I believe. I think they did a Wednesday night game, or and trying something like that. I mean, the fact that they threw you guys on Sunday morning Easter games when we knew the turnout would be bad because of what that is to the city. That would tell us. So think outside of the box. We have a good market. We can look at the data. We have a good market in San Antonio. Instead of just pulling the rug out from anybody, well, let's try to work at it. Let's talk to the fans. Let's try to figure out a weeknight game. And I'll be honest with you. I think for spring football to work, that they're going to have to try some things that the XFL 2023 did and throw a game on a Thursday night and just see how it goes. Not every game was greatly rated. So maybe we think outside of the box where we work with the networks and we work with the venues a little bit more to plug in a date that, otherwise normally might not work. And that goes back to what I said about Seattle and some of these other venues. But, at the end of the day, everything you said, I didn't get a chance. I was planning on going with my son this year. We got to do St. Louis last year, and our plan was this year to do San Antonio. So unfortunately, I won't be able to get to do that. But we could hear it at home on the television that you guys were loud and that you guys always had a great crowd there.
Well,
Yeah, and traveling with the Horns Forward podcast, or the Bulls on Tour as we know them, I got to sit in the end zone with them and experience what it was like on the road with them, and that was a tremendous experience that I'll never forget. I mean, I know that we were louder than the majority of Choctaw Stadium. I've got to catch myself when I say that, Choctaw Stadium. But Choctaw's no more. They're moving to Toyota now, which I didn't think they were going to be able to do. It's something that I had thought about, but same with Shell. I didn't think that the UFL was going to be able to get into either one of these venues, because when they were approached the last time, they were, we don't want our field torn up. We don't want to share our facility. And now that they've gotten into an agreement, I think that bodes well. But unfortunately, it comes at San Antonio's expense. Now, if they do well in these other markets, I'm all for it. But it's going to be real hard for me as a Brahmas fan to continue to support the league. I will continue to support the league. I'm an OG Roughnecks fan, and I'm an OG Renegades fan. But I'm going to tell you, solely as a Brahmas fan, right now, it's a little difficult.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. And like I said, I think some of the small venues, like I said earlier, I've always been an advocate towards going to some of these small venues, but we also have to remember on the other side of things that the smaller the venue doesn't necessarily mean the more affordable. I mean, we haven't been able to get exact data on what Audi is per game, but we know it's been towards the top of the league in price per game. And keep in mind that these are a lot of these stadiums, these minor league soccer stadiums, are relatively new and state of the art, which means they're going to be more expensive. Maybe not as expensive as a 60 or 70,000 person stadium, but we know that the reason they haven't gotten back into New York and those venues is because the absolute obscene price it is lease per game. And not just that, but a lot of these soccer stadiums have turned out after the first season or so not to be great counterparts. Audi Field hasn't exactly not been a thorn in the side of the league so far with the playoff games and the potential of the depending on what report you want to listen to, the championship game that was supposed to be that wasn't last season. So just a reminder that these type of situations can turn sour pretty quickly, and so right now it sounds great, but tomorrow doesn't mean that it won't bring a new set of problems.
100% agree. And I like the idea of streamlining the process and bringing it down to a more intimate setting. But at what cost, right? In San Antonio's situation, is it worth, we were talking about, moving teams and all that stuff. Is it worth going into a new city with no established fan base and trying to build something from scratch? Or is it better to go with your pretty much 10K guaranteed lock-in people that are buying in and try and find another facility, such as our Toyota field that holds 8,500? I've also heard that for the right price, it can be expanded to, I think they said up to like 18K. Now, I don't know how they would do that. Maybe they've got, risers and some plywood or something, make it like Vegas's stadium where it was looking like it was going to fall apart.
That's more permanent structure.
Yeah.
That's actually construction. The way they build these stadiums nowadays is with the potential for expansion of their seating capacity. So they kind of make it, let's make the bowl first and maybe a couple of upper decks and then nothing on the end zone so much. And then they can build out the end zones.
Right. So give us that opportunity. You had it guaranteed. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm pretty sure if the league would have come to us and said, hey, look, we need your help working out a deal here. They get the Memphis 8 involved. They get, and keep in mind, something I've been meaning to say for a while in this, and I keep missing the opportunity to talk about it. San Antonio fan base had more people actively involved in the community than any other fan base did. We had five podcasts alone, at least two of which were dedicated strictly to the San Antonio Brahmas, Horns Forward Podcast and the Brahma Bulletin. Now, I think there's potentially a third. Mike, you'd have to correct me.
Havo's podcast with Jorge, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now.
Brahmas, the first international podcast for the San Antonio Brahmas. No other fan base can say they have one. Okay? Texans Talking Football, which you're on right now. This is a podcast that covers the UFL because there are 3 Texas teams. Of course, we're a little bit biased because we're here in San Antonio. You can see my Horns Forward podcast flag back there. You can see my official knockoff replica helmet right there. My podcast helmets over here. Like, we are dedicated to this crap, and we could get people engaged and involved. We did it for Houston, right? Save the Roughnecks. We helped them with their whole change.org petition thing. I don't know if it made a difference, but we definitely rallied behind them and tried to help them out. There's a little bit of bitterness, by the way, with the Houston fan base, because for the most part, Houston was pretty good. I want to definitely give props to Rig Rocker, who sent each one of us individual messages and said, man, I'm sorry that you lost your team. I am not going to celebrate until I've given you time to process and more. That's what a friend does. But there's some other people out there, and I'm not going to call them out by name, but there's some other people out there that didn't even take the chance or the time to message any one of us, but instead it was already starting to complain about, they better do this or they better do that. And then when the name thing came out, they absolutely dumped on everybody. They were the first in line, right? Why are you going to save a fan base like that when you have what we have here? Okay? I'm going to get off my righteous soapbox on that. If they would have just reached out to us and let us know, man, we would have helped. We would have done anything. I would have paid more money for my tickets. I gladly would have. I would have gotten 3 jobs to pay for it. I don't care. I'm branded for life, man. I'm dedicated. This is my thing. This is what I do. This is part of who I am. And it's taken away. Go ahead, Mike.
And the ironic thing is, Jay, and we hadn't talked publicly about it yet. It was kind of a loose idea where we were going to get the fan bases together to wear our UFL gear at college games. We were going to go to the Alamodome. We were inspired by what the Roughneck fans did at UH when they went played Colorado. We were going to start organizing that and put it out on a much larger scale. And then they announced that, oh, you don't have a team anymore. And I really wasn't going to let it affect me until I knew who the new teams were. And so, yeah, I take it with a grain of salt, and I understand it's business and things of that. And with the people that I know, we can go on and on and on about this because we are so invested. And I think what Jay's saying is you're not going to find a bigger group of more invested fans than you had in San Antonio. And I'll say that proudly and boldly. We had more dedicated, louder, diehard fans than any franchise in the UFL.
Yep, I agree, and I'll to go back to what you're saying. The new franchises and where they're going, I'm a little uncertain about Louisville. I do believe Orlando is a good market. I think there's data from the Apollos and dating back to the original Orlando Rage that tells us that it could be a good market if it's marketed properly. Columbus, I believe that's going to be a good market. My entire viewpoint and how I base it is completely based off of the history of Birmingham and Houston. Their crowds in Houston have been bad since they've returned since 2023. I'm not exactly sure what happened. Their fans want to kind of run through a multitude of excuses that might not hold up, Birmingham especially. At the end of the day, the data speaks for itself. The amount of marketing that's been done, as I said, Birmingham's been more marketed since 2022 than any other team. And if San Antonio had a good team and had been marketed that way, I have no doubt that we wouldn't be having this conversation today because I think the crowds would have been so good that it wouldn't have been questionable. We wouldn't be talking about this. And I believe that if you guys had gotten your heads up to do all the things you said, you guys had one of the best fan bases in spring football, no doubt about it. So it's a really unfortunate turn of events, and I'm sorry for you guys. And I hope that you get a second chance. But even then, if you do get a second chance with how diehard you guys are, I'm sure you'll make the most of it. But these type of things do a lot of damage to a market when they upend people like that, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of distrust even if they do try to get back in the future.
100% agree.
Yeah, and that's another topic. Whether it's right now, it's like a relationship. We just got dumped. We don't know when we're going to be ready to date again, but it's going to be a minute because the city of San Antonio has such a horrible track record where these either it's indoor or hockey or even the WNBA. The Silver Stars are now playing in the WNBA finals as the Las Vegas Aces. We've lost the Iguanas, we've lost the Talons, we've lost the Riders, we've lost so many different teams. It's kind of like the next time a league looks at us, have the paper, have the commitment financially in place, or don't come at all. Because it right now it feels like we get used. I remember vividly Al Davis taking a helicopter tour of the exterior of the Alamo Dome when he was trying to force a new stadium in Oakland. We get used all the time in San Antonio. So right now, it's like me personally. Right now, I can do without a team for a little while.
I actually brought it up. I'm trying to see if I can find some of the history of just anything, right? There's so much. There's baseball that going back to like 1907, guys. We had a Texas League baseball team here. The San Antonio Missions, 1933 through 42. Jackie Robinson was here at one point, right? I think it was, maybe was a promotional deal or whatever. I don't see him moving all the way down the depth chart to then go all the way back up and be one of the greatest baseball players ever. But here, let me see if I can share my screen and make sure it's something appropriate. Obviously, it's going to be appropriate. I'm just joking around. But look at this, guys. Continental football, San Antonio Toros. World Football League, San Antonio Wings. The AFA, San Antonio Charros. The original San Antonio Gunslingers of the USFL, who, by the way, have some really great stories about cannonball running to make sure the first 15 people were able to cash their paychecks because the rest of the team wasn't going to get any money that week. World League, San Antonio Riders, Canadian, the Texans. We had the Matadors back in 2000. NFL, New Orleans Saints doesn't count because it was just a layover year from Katrina. AAF, Commanders, which probably had one of the best receptions of any team that was brought in over here because of marketing and just it being the right name and the right colors and the right everything. It was the fit for San Antonio. Then you've got the XFL, UFL, right? And this is so sad that we've got an end date there. It should have never happened. Arena football, San Antonio Force, San Antonio Talents, the jersey I'm wearing right now. The National Indoor Football League, which uh, this website, because it is a Wikipedia site, it does need to be updated because we do have the San Antonio Gunslingers, and I'm going to address that in just a bit, but we do have the San Antonio Gunslingers of the National Arena League and now the Indoor Football League. And that's not shown on there. Then, of course, hockey and soccer, where we got kind of, beaten up by Austin, and our team was taken. Um, but
And I'll throw another one on there, even though they never officially played the IFA Caballeros. I can't
yes,
say that.
Caballeros.
They were supposed to get started, and they never did. They didn't go dormant. They just folded.
Mhm.
And if you're not coming with the correct financials, just don't bother.
Yeah. Well, and here's another one. There's another league that's starting, the Continental Football League, right? COFL. You're going to start seeing a lot of stuff of that because they have Texas Syndicate, which is going to be kind of like one of those South divisions. Um, I'm wondering if we're not going to get, box of candy and some roses and, the whole feel good. Hey, you guys lost your team. Why don't you come talk to us? And, you know, Mike's right. We're not ready to date yet. We're not. This one hurt too deeply. But Jared, I appreciate you jumping on. We're gonna go ahead and
Thanks again, guys. Thanks for
let
letting
you
me.
run. Hey man,
Yeah, thanks for letting me sound off, guys. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate your insight.
Thanks, Jared.
Know that you are always welcome here on Texans Talking Football, and Horns Forward Podcast may be reaching out to you at some point in time also. There's probably going to be some big announcements coming from that one in a little bit. But hey, man, thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Godspeed. Talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Take care, man. Godspeed. Later. Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes left. I want to address the elephant in the room. Guys, we do have the San Antonio Gunslingers. And I want to make sure that you understand that I am not going to bash the Gunslingers in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to support them. I had a lot of fun. I was a season ticket holder with them too until I went all in with the San Antonio Brahmas. And I mean, it's kind of hard to do both. I'm not going to spend full price for season tickets for the Gunslingers when I'm running all over the country, supporting the San Antonio Brahmas. Half season, maybe, but not the whole thing. But there were players from the Roughnecks that were actually playing here in San Antonio, right? And it's fun that you can go down out after the game and go down on the field and talk to the players. You can't even do that in the UFL. You can interact with the players. You can get to know some of the players like we've done because we've made the extra efforts and whatever. But there at the Gunslingers game, you just go down on the field and just start talking to people, and it's great, right? But remember, it's not football. It's arena football. It's a different field. It's a different set of rules, different strategies, different everything. And so our friends over at the Smoking Guns podcast, I want you to understand we're not against you. We're here to support you. We love you guys. I've interacted with you guys a couple of times now since the news has been broken. I get what you're trying to do, but that's trying to put a Band-Aid on an arterial bleed. They're not the same. It's not going to work. Here is why I bring that up. I've been struggling with this. BD has been struggling with this. Mike G has been struggling with this. And most of us in the podcasting world that cover the San Antonio Brahmas have been struggling with the idea of what do we do? Do we throw our hands up? Do we watch Rome burn? or do we do something about it? I think here on Texans Talking Football, I don't want to speak for Mike G. You can agree with me or let the fans know that you're taking a different route. But I'm pretty sure that Horns Forward podcast kind of feels the same. We're going to take the high road. We are going to support the league. We are going to let them know that even though our team has been taken from us, we are down, but we are not out. The fight is not over. We are going to do everything we can to show you that we are still here. You will see us on national broadcasts, whichever team might be playing, Arlington, Houston, maybe we even go to some road trips to DC, right? Because we've got friends that are over there. We are still going to show up in our Brahmas gear. And you're going to see me, right? Everybody knows my tradition. I always walk in with the Brahmas flag. BD and I do a complete lap around any concourse that we go to, screaming, "Here we go, Brahmas, here we go." And we get everybody fired up, whether they're supporting us or mad at us. Doesn't matter. We get people engaged. Okay. So you're going to see us walking around with that same flag. We'll probably do the same thing and be just as loud and annoying as we were before. But it's going to have a hashtag on it that Havo shared out there. Bring back the Brahmas. We are going to start a campaign, and I'm encouraging all of you to open up your hearts and do your part to support bringing the San Antonio Brahmas back. If we need to talk to city council, and this is to Brandon and Rapoli, if you guys are watching, if somebody wants to share this to them, because I don't know they're going to take the time to watch this, minor league podcast here. But guys, if you need us to do anything, send a text, send a message on Facebook Messenger. Heck, you can even go to my MySpace page and drop a message because nobody would see it anyways except me, right? Let us know what we can do to help bring back the team. We are here to support your league just like we were before, with getting involved with the Battlehawks and doing the charity thing over there. Me and Brahma Babe and Rig and Ball Hawk, right? We've done charity work to help you guys out, right? And bring support for the league. James Carr, the absolute hardest working man in the room, kept you guys relevant here in San Antonio by doing all the charity stuff that he did. Fourth and Goal. God, I can't even remember half the ones that he was involved in. But everything that he was doing to make sure that San Antonio knew that the Brahmas were here to support San Antonio, and all we were asking is just a little bit of support back, right? But we are here. We are not going down without a fight. You may have pulled our team from us now with the tease of coming back in 2028. We're going to take you up on that offer. We're going to continue to make this team relevant. We're going to continue to celebrate. We're going to continue to talk about all the good memories and all the good memories that we're going to have when you bring the team back. Okay. And we're going to make sure that the fan base here stays loyal, stays connected, and is waiting for you. But you guys got to do your part too. If you do decide to come back, we need to find a facility that meets what you're talking about. We'll help you do that. But we need a commitment from you that you're not going to break up with us again. Okay. We will do our part. We will stay loyal, right? 210 Brahmasita. I know you're looking down at your wrist right now. Here it is, sister. Mariachi Brahma, right? You got your ink too. We are branded for life. We have made the commitment to support this team for the rest of our days. And I'm not asking people to go out and get a tattoo, okay? But what I'm asking you to do is open up your heart. Keep the promise going. Keep pushing to bring that team back, okay? We will figure out where they're going to play at. We'll do whatever, okay? But right here, right? X-Fan Show. And that's who we did all the charity work with over in St. Louis. And it was an absolute blast, right? That's really where I kind of made that connection with Dirty, Jason Spurgeon. And believe it or not, kind of a jerk on air, but he actually can be kind of a nice guy off air, right? But don't tell him I said that. Anyways, here we go, right? Keep it going, right? Start the hashtag movement. Bring back the Brahmas. Let's show support for the league. Help them do what we can from our location, but keep the San Antonio Brahmas and the UFL relevant in San Antonio. I'm not going to make any false promises. It is going to be an uphill battle. It is going to be a fight. It's going to be probably one of the most difficult things that we've ever had to do. But if you want to bring the San Antonio Brahmas back and you want to show Rapoli and Russ the mistake they made the correct way without bashing them and going after them and saying that they stink and the league is horrible and I hope it falls apart, let's get behind them instead. Let's show them how strong we can be as fans and steer them back here to San Antonio so we can actually have the right location with the right solid fan base and show them that San Antonio is the place they need to be. Mike, what you got?
Looking at some of the things I've seen on social media, it would be very easy for there to be ugliness and vitriol and cursing and yelling and screaming and crying. But I haven't seen a lot of that from the Brahmas fan base. It's been a lot along the lines of what you're saying. So I'm going to read you this tweet, and it's almost the exact sentiments. And it came along when I needed it to kind of figure out how I felt about it. And it says, "We aren't going to talk about business because at the end of the day, the league has made its decision, and we decided to do what we always do. Leave with love and support for our UFL Brahmas and the entire staff that was affected by this decision." And that's a tweet from Horns Forward. That's from you guys. It shows decorum. It shows what the UFL is missing out on. You know, a diehard, committed fan base that's already established, that has a deep love and appreciation for their team already. And I wanted to thank you guys for leading with grace and taking the high road when it could have very easily been a scream fest, a holler fest, and insulting people, and that's not going to do anybody good. Ultimately, I want the league to succeed because I want these players to succeed because I want them to get a chance, and not just the players, the staff, you know, everybody involved with the league. It's supposed to be a league of opportunity, and the league did provide an opportunity for me and for us to cover a football team that we loved very, very much. And I hope that one day it does return. Until then, I'll be waiting, but I will fully support anything to bring back the Brahmas. So if there's something you have an idea about, something you want to contact me about, get on my Facebook page, get on my Twitter, send me a message, tag me. I'm about sharing things on social media. For those of you who don't know, let me know, and I will help every way that I can. But that's for right now. That's the period on the end of the sentence on how I feel. I'm going to leave it at that.
Mike, I appreciate you taking the high road. Rick 8-Bit, Viking Wax Press, God, I can't remember the whole thing. My guy Saul Rock Cardenas, my helmet guy, absolute best in the business. Don't worry, we're pushing to bring those back. Okay. I-35 rivalry. We're gonna try and do our best to bring that back. Okay. And Saul Rock, I'm sure it was absolutely wonderful. I actually need to hit you up and see about maybe getting some more mini helmets made. And but I'll message you off the air. But again, all of you guys in the broadcast world here, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the high road. The only way that we're going to win this team back is through the love and support, like the Horns Forward podcast talked about. Okay. We need to love each other. We need to support each other. We need to support this league. And we need to show them that they're the ones that are missing out, that they made a business decision, and that's fine. I get it. This is their business. This is their money that's on the line, not ours. Okay. Sneege, see you later, man. Horns Forward, right? And Brahma Babe, yes, we ride in spring. But this is how we do it the right way, by showing the support, by showing the appreciation, and by making sure that we're letting the league know that it's okay. Like, you did what you thought was best and it was a mistake. Now come back home. Right? I don't want to get too religious here, and I'm definitely not going to, get out my Bible that is like real close here. But it's kind of the story of the prodigal son. We have to let them go and make their mistakes to see that it was a mistake, so they come back home, and we'll welcome them with open arms. Okay. That's my plea to you guys. So let's do that. Okay. This whole show has essentially been about what's happened in the last 4 days. And we've had so much information and so many different opinions and so much, things to talk about and whatever. Um, I think, Mike, do you have anything you would like to add at this point?
Um, right now, as far as the UFL goes, I'm going to continue to cover the Roughnecks because, like I said, I'm an OG Roughnecks fan. I'm an OG Renegades fan. I'm going to always rep my Brahmas. You'll see the logo still. I'm not changing my name. It's still going to be XFL Mike G. Um, I want the league to prosper and to continue. And it's weird. It's almost because of the relationships that I've built doing this more so than the actual football at this point. And I know that you'll understand this because you guys do so much behind the scenes, away from the field, that doesn't get talked about and noticed. And that's where it's kind of like I need something to fill this space. But for right now, we're going to spend some time doing this. I know Horns Forward's got a show coming up that we're all looking forward to. So I'm trying not to talk too much about that. But it's been a great experience. XFL Mike G will continue on. And again, thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of this. I came along as just a fan and it's like, can I tag along? And you guys welcomed me with open arms. And that's what the Brahmas mean to me. So I don't think I'll ever let that part of it go.
100%, Mike. Um, this thing has meant the absolute world to me. I've been through some really tough times personally outside of this. Most people don't know about it except my podcast brothers and sisters, you, Sabrina, of course. But the one thing that kept me going strong was knowing that I had a home here. I had a place that I could invite my kids to and get them involved with. I was so passionate about this and so committed to this. We actually were going to start our own ad campaign with the Brahma Queens to reach out to the teens and the preteens to then get the parents involved because it was a place that was going to be welcoming and open to them, right? We're doing the community connection. I also want to make sure that I say this part because it wasn't just us and it wasn't us alone. Okay. James Carr, you by far are my absolute hero. I don't know if you're watching this. I don't know if you hear this. I don't know if you're ever going to hear this, but no, you have my utmost respect for life because you took the time to put in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears to connect with this community, to get an award from the Commissioner's Court here in San Antonio because of all of your charitable work, because of everything that you did. And you were doing that for the most part on your own time and bringing the Brahmas with you, right? The Brahmas would not be what they are without people like you. So, James, from the bottom of my heart, man, I absolutely love you and appreciate everything that you've done for it. And we will do our absolute best to make sure that we carry on the tradition, to keep this team relevant, to keep it connected, to try and bring it back. Hopefully, maybe we can bring you back too if one of those professional sports teams hasn't already snatched you up because they realized how awesome you are. Okay. This is the part of the show where we give out our thank yous, right? XFL Mike G, thank you for being here. Um, I I don't know that I could have done the show without you today. Okay. Obviously, there was a point where the emotions definitely got to me and I broke a little bit, and I appreciate you covering me on that. I appreciate your support. I appreciate Alternative Football Network support. Uh, we wouldn't be where we are as a show without you guys. So definitely thank you there. I also want to give a shout out to the X-Fan show. They've helped us along this journey as well. 120 episodes. We started out just me and BD, just a bunch of fat old men talking about football. And look where we are now. A bunch of fat old men talking about football. Uh, but we've gotten support from so many people. Our friends over at Pro Arena Talk. I saw Bobby Ott posting some stuff today, in fact. Absolutely love that guy. And I love his spiritual side because he's been sharing a lot of good, strong messages that have really kind of been helping lessen the pain, right? Um, But so thank you guys. Sammy Sharp, everybody over there. This guy. I've actually heard him say it before in person, but this is the first time I have written proof that he's actually said it. Spurgeon, love you, man. Love you. Arlington, love you too, bro. Um, this I told you guys that this was going to be an emotional show. This was going to be a big one. Um, so from the bottom of my heart, for you fans, I thank you. Whether you're a Brahmas fan, whether you're an Arlington fan, a Houston fan, one of the new teams, whatever, St. Louis fan. I know we've had this rivalry, and I really tried to do my best to build up that rivalry between San Antonio and St. Louis because the league needs a strong rivalry to get the support of the fans to keep it going. And I thought it made sense that it would be us against St. Louis. And yes, it's a friendly rivalry, but it is a rivalry. Well, now we can't really do that. But guys, if we get our team back, no, I'm going to come back and I'm going to start the same trouble with you. Okay? Because that's what we do, right? But from the bottom of my heart, guys, absolutely love and appreciate every one of you. So for those that still have a team, take the time to support your team. Know that we're going to be there to help you guys out as well. But come 2027, 2028, UFL, know that we are here and we are going to make noise and we're going to do everything in our power to make you see us, to make you hear us, and to bring our Brahmas back home. Okay? That being the case, I got nothing else to say. Mike, you good?
It sounds a little bit like goodbye, but we're talking about the Brahmas, and I think we're all gonna appreciate that because it was a moment in our life, and that's why I documented as much as I could. But this show will still go on. Texans talking football. We're still going to talk Cowboys. Who's in Houston nowadays? The Texans. We'll talk about the UFL's Roughnecks and Renegades as well. I'm sorry, Roughnecks or no more. We'll talk about the Renegades and the Gamblers still, and of course indoor gunslingers. I know we kind of didn't cover any of that. We kind of skipped right over it because it was such a big topic that we kind of needed to. And it was cathartic. And thank you again, Jay, for having me on. And that's my final thoughts for the day.
Awesome. So, guys, I'm going to finish it with this thought, right? Can't wait to see you guys at these games. You are definitely going to see us somehow, some way. You will definitely see there. Okay. Brown babe, love you. I need to see the bro at these games with us when you can. That's it. Signing off. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Go Brahmas. Horns forward, baby.